Thank you so very much for staying tuned. And if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. Minister of Defense General Christopher Musa has insisted that Nigeria must put a complete end to the negotiation with terrorists or paying ransom to kidnappers, warning that such practices only strengthen criminal groups. Speaking during his ministerial screening at the Senate, and Musa stressed that ransom payment enable terrorists to regroup, acquire more weapons, and launch fresh attacks. He noted that Nigeria's banking system has the capacity to track suspicious financial transactions if fully integrated, and called for a unified national database that links security, identity, and banking system to improve crime fighting. Let's get talking. We still have Emeka Madunagu. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for staying tuned. Emeka, are you there?
Thank you. I'm here. Yeah, thank you.
All right, beautiful. So, Emeka, I know we had started the talk, on the no paying of ransom as made possible or had been submitted by Christopher Musa. But let's get into other matters that's linked to it. He said that that Nigeria lacks a database, a common database. He said, according to him, that the Nigerian police have their own database, the army have their own database, lots of banking have their own database, lots of databases all over the place. There's no unified database that would ensure that a criminal who commits a crime in Sokoto will not end up in Abuja thinking he is not guilty or he's free. Speak to us on why you think that is absent, knowing that Issa Pantami, the former Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, had made it possible for us to have it done. What's your take?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the issue of the database, is trying to trivialize the issue. We have cross-border. While we have a database, national identity number, which which we were told was compromised recently, the database. But that is one side of the story. The other side of the story is that, Nigeria is actually experiencing infiltration from the Sahel, and then some of these criminals are actually people who come from different countries. Some of them have been displaced in some places, displaced from Iraq, displaced from some other theaters, Somalia, Central African Republic. So, of course, some of them are actually bounty hunters, freelance fighters, who go here and there, looking for theaters of war, looking for theaters of war. So, and if you recall, many years ago, Osama bin Laden, who was the founder of Al-Qaeda terrorist group, actually said that Nigeria was ripe for a jihad, So the authorities at that time should have taken very good note of that comment and move to beef up, to beef up their efforts. So talking just about the database is like making the issue a one-sided thing. It's much more than that. It's just to secure your borders. Just apart from securing your database. The database was breached recently. So apart from securing your internal database, it's also to ensure that you have a record of everyone entering or leaving Nigeria. You have a lot of porous areas. We have porous borders. But people come and go. But it's not entirely difficult to monitor the movement of people in and out of the country. So what we need is also to remove corruption from the system, because the idea that people can just pay a bribe and cross the borders, should be eliminated. It affects all of us, because when you collect a bribe to allow illegal aliens to cross the border, what you end up doing is that you're also putting yourself in the line of danger. That's one. There's also the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of persons. Yes, so there ought to be free movement of persons. Sadly, in Africa, it is not so. There are still hindrances to free movement. So, African states, should look at the protocols of the African Union and ECOWAS and try to work within those protocols to ensure, that terrorists do not take advantage of this free movement. There should be, greater collaboration. For instance, Ghana and Burkina Faso have just signed an agreement, on a free roaming. So what it means is that any citizen, anybody from Ghana going to Burkina Faso or vice versa, roaming their phones can actually do that for free. You don't have that, across Africa. And that is bad. That's why it's easier, it's cheaper to make a call from any African country, outside Africa, a destination outside Africa, than it is to a destination within Africa. That's why it's cheaper, to fly from any part of Africa to outside Africa than it is from one point in Africa to another point within the continent.
Are you still there, Emeka?
So what does it say? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
So what it means is that African nations need to up their game so that terrorists don't mess up this beautiful continent. Thank you.
Yes, Emeka, all of this I truly do understand with you and appreciate your submission. But why is it that we keep hiding behind our fingers, reacting and behaving like ostriches to some extent, when we glaringly know what the problem is? These bandits these days do not hide their faces. Before now, they used to cover up their faces and wear dark shades. But now they've gone above that. They glaringly show who they are. They tell you some of the times where they are even communicating with or from, and their NIN should be there in our databases for us to find out. So why are we running in circles, behaving like we don't know the right things to do, when what we should do is right there before us?
Let me tell you, these things are very simple. One, the AU has a protocol that, if somebody is wanted in Nigeria and maybe flees to another African country, that person can be apprehended in that country and put on trial right there, right in that country. That was used in the case of Henry Oka. When one of the previous administrations, activated the AU protocol, he was arrested in Angola, where he went to negotiate the purchase of 2 maritime vessels. He was arrested there and put on trial there and jailed. So if we activate that, what it means is this: it will be easier to, for instance, say, okay, these terrorists, if they are terrorists that escape from Nigeria, for instance, if we can activate the AU protocol and say, okay, Niger Republic or any other country, South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, whatever, please help us apprehend this person. Instead of wasting time on trying to repatriate the person, because that's the mistake we keep making. We try to make that mistake under concerning Simon Ekpa. The separatist agitator, in Finland. But eventually, I think common sense prevailed that no, since Finland has already activated his trial, let Finland go ahead. Because the process of repatriation is difficult. It's not a straightforward thing. Don't forget that in Finland, some of the things for which Simon Ekpa was being accused of are not offenses in Finland. If you look at the history of Finland, you'll see some of the things Simon Ekpa was doing, as part of the history of Finland. So, it's not like money laundering or financial crimes that once you're able to just satisfy the burden of proof, discharge the burden of proof, then you can easily activate a repatriation. So, if we can do that, if African nations can rise up, so instead of Nigeria, wasting money on repatriation, just like the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, instead of moving, instead of abducting him in Kenya and bringing him to Nigeria. I mean, the Nigerian government should simply have activated the AU protocol and asked Kenya to put him on trial, try him and jail him there. Would have been spared a lot of the, the problems that followed his trial in Nigeria, the sit at home and all of that, all of those displacements. So what I'm saying is that we need to look within and without. There are existing protocols on prosecution, international treaties that we've signed. We have the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. How far have we gone? I mean, the other day, the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, was addressing the ICC, and was asking foreign nations to respect Nigeria's sovereignty. I mean, I was disappointed. Are we talking about sovereignty? Your sovereignty is being breached. It's being breached, day and night. And you're talking, what we should be talking about is African brotherhood, promoting African brotherhood, such that a criminal in Nigeria is a criminal anywhere on the continent. So that way, we can work together and deal with criminality in any part of the any part of the continent. So that way, Nigeria can, for instance, assist Niger Republic, those poorer African nations that are our neighbors, Chad, Cameroon, Benin, and those other African nations that are our neighbors that are, poorer than Nigeria. So, okay, we'll assist you beyond just the multinational joint task force. We'll assist you, in ensuring that, in beefing up your military and ensuring that you can help us to deal with cross-border crime, so that anybody, any criminal who comes to Nigeria to commit a crime and escapes to your country is arrested and put on trial. So we don't waste time talking of extradition. No, quickly put on trial and dealt with. So if African nations can come together and say, okay, let's set up terrorism courts, anti-terrorism courts, that will make it faster. The number of terrorists that will be jailed, to be so fast. Then you can now say, okay, that when conviction is secured, then you cannot talk of extradition. So at that point, you have more, you have a stronger case to extradite, as speedily as possible. So let us put on our thinking cap to deal with terrorism. It's not a singular, one nation affair. No, it's not an affair of one nation. Under Obasanjo, America asked us to join the U.S.-Africa Command initiatives, their training initiatives and all of that. But the then Chief of Army Staff, General Victor Malu, was grandstanding, that Nigeria doesn't need any assistance from the U.S., that in fact it's Nigeria that should be training the U.S. What nonsense. I mean, the Nigerian Army was founded in 1960. Do you know how long the U.S. Army had been existing before that time? How many theaters of war that the U.S. Army has visited around the world? And it has seen real battle. The U.S. Army has seen battle in different theaters. How many theaters of war has the Nigerian Army witnessed? So what's the point in grandstanding? Every cooperation is necessary and is important and is helpful, so long as it advances the cause of ensuring safer borders. And that's why you look at the EU, the European Union. We can copy from the European Union to make sure that, we keep Africa safer. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Emeka. It's very important that we keep Africa, safe, and it is in our hands to make that work. One would wonder why we don't have all of these issues in other continents except Africa, particularly in West Africa and Nigeria, most importantly, a country of over 200 million people, that we would have used the population to our advantage economically and growing in leaps and bounds. But of course, what we have is a Nigeria where we are eating ourselves rather than making good ourselves. That's the time we have for today. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here. Truly do appreciate your time. All right, that's the time we have. Please do well to follow us. You can find us at Enterprise TV7, and also you can read up on everything we've talked about when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. I am Henrik Webike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, bright and early. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Bye-bye.